Mr. Dickerson, if you could mind all the cords and just come over here in front of the witness stand. And, sir, before you sit down, if you will, please raise your right hand for me. Sir, do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you, sir. Go ahead and have a seat. And Mr. Dickerson, if I can ask you just to get as close to the microphone as is reasonable. And Mr. Pralia, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Will you please introduce yourself to the jury, stating your full name, spelling your last?
My full name is Alan Charles Dickerson. That's Dickerson.
Sir, are you married?
Yes, I am.
To whom?
Elizabeth Ann Dickerson.
Sir, did you have a son?
I have two sons. My oldest son, Christopher Dickerson, deceased, and a younger son.
Sir, as it pertains to your son, Christopher Dickerson, what was his date of birth?
His date of birth was October 9th, 1985.
Sir, I'm going to approach with what's been marked as People's Exhibit 1.
That is my son, Christopher Dickerson, with his beloved pet, Juna, a white German Shepherd, a cat, Ella, and what you don't see in the foreground is a chicken.
So what, I'm sorry?
A chicken. We also have chickens at the house.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd move for the admission of People's Exhibit 1.
Any objection to one from the defense?
403.
All right. The court will overrule the objection and admit into evidence states 1.
Sir, can you briefly describe your son, Christopher?
My son, Christopher, is a very...
Objection 403.
And can the parties approach?
Was that house at 2413 15th Avenue Court in Greeley, Weld County, Colorado?
Yes, it was.
Hearsay.
All right. I'll overrule the objection.
Sir, approximately when had he purchased that house?
Hearsay.
All right. The court will overrule the objection.
He had
May answer,
purchased the house probably only months before he was taken from us.
Sir, at that time, do you know if your son had any roommates at that house?
Yes, he did.
Okay. Going back a little bit in terms of discussing Chris, had he worked at Noosa Yogurt?
Yes, he worked at Noosa Yogurt.
In what capacity, sir?
He was a warehouse manager and shift supervisor.
Okay. Sir, I want to ask about some prior relationships to your son of Chris. At one point, did he have a very serious girlfriend named Bethany Cook?
Yes, he did. He was engaged to her.
Okay. And because of that, was the information shared that he had purchased an engagement ring?
Yes, he had purchased an engagement ring for her.
Do you know where that was from, sir?
I do. It was purchased from Zales Jewelers.
And was that something you had discussed previously with your son?
No, but I did see the ring, and I did see the receipt for the ring in his bedroom.
Okay. Now, ultimately, sir, did that engagement lead to marriage, or did it stop short of that?
It stopped short of marriage.
Okay. And, sir, to your knowledge, was that ring provided back to him?
Yes, the ring was provided back to him.
Are you confident of that?
Yes, I am.
And had you actually seen that then?
Yes, I had.
Sir, I want to transition to the time period of October 3rd, 2021. Where were you living at that time?
I was living at my primary residence, 710 Pine Drive, Windsor, Colorado.
Did you receive a visitor at the door that morning?
Yes, I did.
Who was that?
It was the coroner and victim assistance people.
Were you informed of a general situation
Yeah.
potentially involving your son?
Yes, I was.
And sir, did you assist with providing dental records or similar records?
Yes, I explained that Chris had a broken arm as a young child that required a steel plate in his arm, and he also regularly had dental visits.
Sir, at a certain point, were you contacted by the Greeley Police Department?
Yes, I was.
And who was the lead detective that contacted you, sir?
The lead detective was Detective Burrows.
You see him in the courtroom, sir?
Yes, he's at the DA's desk.
Now, sir, who was the power of attorney for your son?
I was the power of attorney for my son at that time.
Okay. And sir, how often would you get to see your son, Christopher?
I would see him on a regular basis, probably at least 2 to 3 times a week. We took care of his beloved pet, Juna, a white 7-year-old German Shepherd now. At the time, she was about 4 years old. He would leave her with us because he worked night shifts and long weekends. So we took care of Juna for him while he was not able to provide the attention that she needed.
Would you also speak over the phone or through text communications?
Yes, we would text each other and we would have communications over the phone, both him and my mother and his mother.
Are you very close with Chris?
Yes, I was very close with Chris.
Did you have access to several of his accounts, including bank accounts, phone numbers, phone records, and other?
Yes, I did. I was Chris's power of attorney until the time of his death.
And sir, did you assist in providing that information to Detective Burrows as part of the investigation?
Yes, I did.
Sir, as part of that, did you specifically deal with Google location records and aspects of the Google operating system for Chris?
Yes, I did.
And was that associated specifically with Chris's Google or Gmail email?
Yes, it was.
Sir, were you able to actually view that?
Yes, I was. I was able to see that the phone had moved in location on the day that he was taken from us and murdered until after the fire had started, or shortly after the fire had started, or been reported started. I shared that information with Detective Burrows once I had access to the account.
If I could approach with what's been marked as People's Exhibit 202.
202, go ahead.
Sir, do you recognize People's Exhibit 202?
Yes, I do.
And what is that, sir?
That is a SanDisk USB drive.
And sir, how are you familiar with that?
I use this SanDisk USB drive to provide Detective Burrows with two invocations of Google takeout dump of the Android device and zip files to maintain the integrity of that data once it was viewed.
So based on all of those aspects that you just talked about, are you pretty familiar with computers?
Yes, I am.
And you went through that process?
I went through that process.
And is People's Exhibit 202 the actual disk that you provided, or the USB thumb drive that you provided to Detective Burrows?
Yes, it is.
Your Honor, at this time, I move for the admission of People's Exhibit 202.
Any objection to 202?
No, that's voir dire.
Sure, go ahead.
Mr. Dickerson, would you mind if I grab that from you?
Absolutely.
Just have a few questions about this. There is no initial on the itself, right? On the thumb drive itself?
No, there's no identifying marks other than it's a SanDisk, probably a 32 gigabyte drive.
Okay. You had said no identifying marks, so I just want to clarify that a little bit for the jury. There's no such as like a serial number or something on here, correct?
No, but the files that exist on there have hash codes,
Okay.
and I can provide those hash codes
But
that specifically identify the files on the disk as being digital copies.
okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. But looking at this specifically, there's no identifying marks besides the fact that it's a SanDisk thumb drive, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I'll get this back to you for now. So you're unable to say with actual certainty that that is, as looking at it, the exact same thumb drive that you provided to Detective Burrows, correct?
This drive can be inserted in any PC. We can download a cyclic redundancy check, an MD5 sum, or a HA256 hash code. It will be unique to the files that are stored on my server and are stored in the cloud under an AWS S3 server.
So, Mr. Dickerson, I'm not trying to be confusing. I'm just wondering that specific thumb drive as we're looking at it, not the contents of what you believe to be on there, but just looking at that thumb drive, there's no identifying marks to suggest that that is the specific thumb drive that you gave Detective Burrows, correct?
It is not because it was delivered in a different bag with a label on it, and this went into the evidence chain at the Greeley Police Department and labeled with their markings.
Okay. Your Honor, could we approach, please?
Sure.
many thumb drives, SanDisk, did you provide to Detective Burrows?
A single SanDisk.
And you're confident that's the one?
Yes, I am. I have no reason to believe that it's went out of the custody, the chain of custody of the Greeley Police Department since I delivered it.
Objection. I think that's, I don't think he's able to, that's speculation.
Sir, just to
All
be
right.
clear,
And I'm sorry, Mr. Fraley, give me just a second. All right, I will overrule the objection as to the part of the answer stating yes, I am. I will sustain the objection to the remainder of the witness's answer and strike that for the record. Mr. Dickerson, it's really important that you just answer the question specifically that you're asked.
Yes, I believe that to be the SanDisk that I provided Detective Burrows.
let's just take a moment. I've handed you a piece of, I've handed you back the exhibit. I've also handed you the scissors, sir, as well as my computer. If you can just open the packaging with the
Okay.
scissors.
Okay.
It's fair to say you cut in the middle of that exhibit?
Yes, I did. I didn't want to destroy the label.
Okay. If you can take that thumb drive out.
Hopefully your laptop recognizes the drive, and it does.
Okay. You can go ahead and click on that, sir.
What I'm clicking on is a Google directory. I expect to see 4 files on that in that directory. Those are takeout files. They're Google takeout files. They're download.
And Mr. Dickerson, again, it's really important that you just
Okay,
respond to
I'm sorry.
questions.
Yes,
You recognize that?
I certainly do.
Is that exactly what you thought it would be?
It is exactly what I thought it would be in the date. Yes, it is exactly what I thought it
And
would
is
be.
that exactly what you provided?
It is exactly what I provided.
Now I'd move for 202, Your Honor.
Any further objection?
You stand on our previous objection, and then in regard to the contents.
All right, the court will overrule the objection and admit into evidence states 202.
Those are my questions at this time.
All right, thank you. Any cross-examination?
Mr. Dickerson, I just have a few questions for you.
Yes,
You mentioned that Chris was working at NUSA around the time in October, right?
that is correct.
Okay. And he had been fired, to your knowledge, for like a whistleblower kind of complaint?
That is my understanding.
Okay. And is your understanding that he was a little angry about losing his job at that point?
Objection. May we approach?
Sure.
And so, Mr. Dickerson, when Chris was let go, he wasn't working around the time of in October, right? He had been let go prior to October 2nd and 3rd?
Yes, he had been let go prior to that.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Any redirect examination?
No.
All right, thank you. Mr. Dickerson, you can leave the witness stand. You can just leave that stuff there and the state will collect it. And again, sir, just make sure you mind all those wires, sir. The state may call their next witness.
Your Honor, at this time, the people call Officer Flores.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir. If you'll come forward and please stand in front of the witness stand. If you could just make sure you mind those wires when you're coming up.